Okay everybody, hello again. This is video now today is looking at to manufacture the cam. So we have the cam here in the project. So it looks more complicated than it actually is, and I'll take you through a step-by-step guide how to manufacture this cam. So the cam here is made from 25mm mild steel. The finished length is 32mm in diameter. You get that from the store. It's probably about 35mm in diameter. So what you have to do first of all is to face off both sides of the cam. Everyone can do that by now. Face off both sides of the cam on a 3-jaw chuck. Just face off, don't bring down the size, just face off both sides, and then we're going to go through the marking out process of this cam. So, look at the cam for now. Let's have a look at the drawing. So looking at the drawing in our booklets, that cam, I'm going to use the tablet here. So we can see from the cam over here on the screen that the cam is 32 finished millimeters in diameter, and what we also see in the cam that what we have to do here is to create a new center. So it's an eccentric cam, and how we manufacture that cam is, I'm going to lay it on this whiteboard out here. So let's have a look at that whiteboard. Pause. Okay everybody, so when we take the piece of material you get from the store, it's 25mm in diameter. So it's 25mm in diameter. So half of that is 12.5. And what we need to do here from our drawing, look back at our booklet, to make the cam, this is a step-by-step guide, to make the cam. We look back in our drawing, in our booklet, the cam is 25mm, and the center of the cam, the new center of the cam, is 2mm off the center. So what we have to do then is to go back here. We're going to go over now and mark out. We're going to move the center of the cam 2mm this way. So it means the new center point from this edge to that edge is going to be 10.5, and from here up to the opposite side will be 14.5. So if we look at that more closely, that means 14.5, that chord minus 10.5 gives us 4mm lift in our cam. And what that means then is, if you're looking at the cam, from this point in the center, the new center, the distance from here to there, as I said, is 14.5, and that's top dead center. And down this end is what's called bottom dead center. That's on the piston. So as the piston lifts up its maximum, it's up 4mm. And then as it falls, what happens here, the chord lengths get shorter, up to a point where it's at its lowest point. So to look at that in actual reality, so that's the low point. The cam is sitting down flush, but as it rotates around, the cam starts to lift. And when it reaches max dead, top dead center, the handle is fully up, and the maximum lift we have from here to there is 4mm. And then as you rotate down, it's dropping, coming to the point back down to bottom dead center, and it sits flush. So that's the bottom of the cam. So that's corresponding to when the cam is sitting back in its bottom dead center to when it's fully raised up its top dead center. And if you were to graph that, what simply means happens here is that as the distance from here to there is 14.5, and then the next chord up is going to be shorter. So it's kind of constantly falling down the way in the process, to the point where it raises back up again, and then it lifts again. So at this point here is at 10.5, and then it's rising up as it rotates around the opposite side. It's lifting again, it's rising. So let's now look at, more importantly, marking it out. So just going to pause the video. Cam, what we're going to do is going to set the height gauge here to 12.5mm, and we're going to use a magnetic V block. We're going to fix the cam to the magnetic V block, applying it on to hold in position, and we're just going to literally strike a mark, go all the way along the cam at 12.5mm in the center, all the way along at that 12.5mm in the center. We're just striking a line all the way through. What that does there, it gives us this line going straight through the cam, all the way through, And then we're going to adjust our height gauge. So in the height gauge, when you're using it for the first time, you're making sure that this is raising to 0. Pause, Andy. Okay, yeah. So we have our first line created at 12.5, and that's going right around the part as we just seen it all there. Now, readjust your height gauge, and we're going to move it off center by 2 mil up to 14.5 millimeters. So that's now adjusting it to 14.5. Rotate around your cam, and now you're going to scratch a line like so, just across there, giving you a new center point up on top. So that's now your new center point. So that's now our new point. And you get a center punch, and we get a center punch mark on that point. Okay, take that cam and pause. Good. Okay, so this is what we normally have is a 3-jaw self-centering chuck. So with a 3-jaw self-centering, all the jaws open and close at the same time. We're going to place it out now. We're going to using a 4-jaw self-centering chuck. So we have to position our cam into a 4-jaw independent chuck, which means each of these jaws move independently. So that will be chuck we put into the lathe for you. You don't need to do that yourself. So we'll remember the staff will help you put the chuck in the lathe. So moving over now, that is the chuck installed in the lathe, and now it is to pop the part in for the first time and line up at the centre. So we'll pop our part in. There is some tape marks on the jaws, and that's to allow quick, smooth transition. So there's only 2 of these jaws are left open. So you pop your part in. And it just slides in. And then what you want to do then is push up your tailstock to line up as best you can that new centre with the tailstock. So as you rotate around the part and you tighten across, we can see that that little point that we created there is lining up nicely with the revolving center point. So that's by eye. What we're now going to do now is what's called clocking. We're going to clock and make sure we got the correct spacement of 4 millimeters. So we do that with a dial gauge. So that's as best we can by eye. So I remove that now away.